Today we'll be learning about how to create this beautiful brushstroke animation effect in PowerPoint. It really looks beautiful. You can use this kind of effect in either a title slide or as a section break between slides, or even as a thank you slide at the end of the presentation. The applications are really endless. So let's learn how to create this kind of a brushstroke animation effect in PowerPoint. So as always, we're going to start with a new blank slide. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a new blank slide over here. And there are actually two different ways in which you can create brushstroke effects in PowerPoint. I'm going to show you both the methods individually. There are pros and cons to each of these methods, which I'm going to walk you through and talk about as I create these brushstroke effects in PowerPoint. So the first method requires you to install a specific font onto your computer into your PowerPoint. And so what we're going to do is just type in this website called thefont.com. Once you are onto the website, just search for this font called Road Rage. And once you have this font, all you got to do is just click on this download button over here and download it into any folder that you would like and save it onto your computer. Now I already downloaded it and installed it, so I'm just going to replace that once again just to show you the process. So once it has downloaded, you can open up the font and we're going to click that and you'll see an OTF file over here. Just double click onto this file. It doesn't matter if you're using a Windows PC or a Mac computer, the process is going to be very similar. Now here it says that I already have this installed, and whether I want to replace that or keep both the fonts, I am going to skip this for the moment, but all you got to do is just click on install and the fonts will be installed onto your computer. Now once you have the fonts installed, go back to the presentation. I would recommend that you restart your PowerPoint at this point in time. Sometimes when you try to look for the font in the option over here, you probably will not see this newly installed font. So the best way to overcome that issue would be to quit PowerPoint and then reopen the application once again on your computer. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is just open up any blank slide and we're just going to insert the text box onto the slide. And here we're going to type in the / key. And once you have this typed in, select the text box over here and we're going to change the font to the newly installed font on our computer, which is Road Rage, if you remember the name. Just type in. Now what we need to do is just increase the font size over here to something around 300, and you can take it from there. If you feel like you want to increase the font size a little more, feel free to do that. Now let's rotate this a little bit so that we have it parallel to the slide. And I'm just going to rotate this a little more. Now feel free to increase or decrease the font size, which is going to be a quick way to adjust the size of this brushstroke effect that we've just created. Now once we have this on our slide, we're really going to duplicate this a few times and adjust the font size so that we have a particular shape of this brushstroke effect. I'm going for a circular shape over here. So what we can do over here is either right click and copy and paste it, or we can just press Command D or Control D on your PC, Command D for Mac, and duplicate this brushstroke effect. Now you can reduce the font size if you want to reduce the size of this brushstroke effect. And we're going to repeat this a few times and create a kind of a layout or a shape in which we want to create this kind of a brushstroke effect. Now once you've created a kind of a shape with this brushstroke effect and you're satisfied with the design or the layout that you've just created, just highlight one of these shape and press Ctrl A or Command A to select all of these individual brushstrokes that we have created. Now we're going to click on the shape format option and click on the merge shape options and click on union. What this is going to do is create one singular shape from all of these independent individual brushstrokes that we just created. All right, so that's great. So we already are almost through with our first process. What we're going to do next is just add in an image onto the slide. You can use a site like unsplash.com where you can find a ton of different options. I have already downloaded some of these options onto my computer. And I'll just go to that folder and drag and drop one of these images onto my slide right here. And once you have that, we're going to stretch this to fit our slide over here. I'm going to crop that very quickly. All right, so once we have that onto our slide, I'm going to right click on it and click on send to back. Once we've reached this step, one thing that I would recommend is selecting this brushstroke shape over here and choose the part of this image that you would want to show within this brushstroke effect over here. So in this particular image, I would like to show this part of the mountain within our brushstroke effect. So I'm going to cover that with this effect right here. And the next thing we're going to do is just click on insert and go to shapes and insert a rectangle, and we're going to drag a rectangle onto the slide. I'm going to remove the outline and change the shape color to white, and then we're going to right click on it and send it backward. So we have the shape over the rectangular shape that we added. We have the brush stroke shape over the rectangular shape that we just added to the slide. Now once you've reached that point, just select the rectangular shape first and then select this brush stroke shape that we just created. And let's go to shape format tab once again and go to merge shapes and click on subtract. And there you go. You have this beautiful brush stroke effect created. All we need to do over here is just add in some text, and you have your slide ready. And it's a very quick and easy way to create a brushstroke effect onto your PowerPoint presentation. Now, this is the first method. It just requires you to use a font to create a brushstroke effect onto your PowerPoint presentation. One of the drawbacks of using this method is that you cannot really animate the brushstroke effects on the slide over here, just the way we saw at the beginning of this video. And this is where the second method comes in very handy. So let's move on to the second method, and I want to walk you through the process step by step. So to begin with the second method, what we're going to do is insert a new blank slide over here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open up our browser and go to a site called FreePic. Now here we're going to search for brush stroke effects. And once you have this open, you can just download one of these effects. I'm going to click on this particular effect over here, and what we want is an SVG file that gives us the flexibility to change the color, change the shape and size of the brush stroke that we're going to be using in our PowerPoint. Now unfortunately, even though this does mention an SVG option over here, it may or may not necessarily have an SVG option, but we're going to download this anyway, and I'm going to show you a quick workaround to convert a shape like this into an SVG format. So we're going to click on free download. I want to save that to the download folder, and we're going to open this very quickly over here, and here you're going to see that the SVG format file is not available. So a quick workaround is to open up this particular website on your browser, and I want to leave links to all of these into the description below, so don't worry about that. So once you are here, just click on select the file. So I'm going to go to the folder where I've just downloaded the file, and I'm going to click on this EPS format option and select open. And here I'm going to select SVG because that's what we want to convert this file into, and click on convert. All right, so this has been converted into an SVG format, as we can see over here. All you need to do is just click on this download button and download it into a particular folder wherever on your computer. Just make sure that you remember where you've saved it. And once you have that downloaded, just open up this folder and select this file, just copy it and go back to our PowerPoint presentation. And on our blank slide, all we're going to do is just paste this file over here. Now our job is not done yet. As you can see, we really cannot do much, and we can't even select these brush strokes over here individually. But what we're going to do is we're going to select this graphic over here, come to this graphic format option, the graphic format tab, and click on convert to shape. Once you've done that, you will see that you'll be now able to select some of these shapes individually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this particular brush stroke over here. I'm just going to copy this and come outside and paste it right here. So now I'm going to take this to a new slide. I'm going to copy this from this brush stroke effect over here and insert a new blank slide. I'm going to insert this brush stroke effect over here. So let's just make it vertical, and let's also increase the size of this brush stroke over here. So once we have this size, let's just go to format shape option, and here we're going to change the color of this brush stroke to white and also add a bit of shadow over here so that we can see our brush stroke effect. The next thing that we're going to do is duplicate this shape and change the size of this shape a little bit, and we can rearrange this to create more like a circular shape, just the way we created in our previous slide. So I want to duplicate this a few times. And don't hesitate to rotate the shape 180 degree. Instead of just using the shape in one direction, you can actually break the monotony by rotating the shape in different ways, right? So that's basically what we're doing over here. So I'm going to do this onto the other side of this shape as well. All right, so what we've done is we've created kind of a circular shape with this brush strokes that we've just added to our PowerPoint slide. Now, what I want to do is just select all of these shapes and group them together. So Command Option G, and I'm just going to rotate this onto the slide and make it vertical. Here we can adjust this if you want to make it slightly smaller or bigger. Beautiful. Wonderful. So the next thing that we want to do is add some of the images to this slide. So what I'm going to do is go back to the folder and I'm going to add one of the images. Let's just go with the same image of the mountain over here. So I'm going to click over here and paste it onto the slide. Now what we're going to do is set this image as the background of the slide. So first we're going to copy the image and once again click on Format Background, and here we're going to select the picture or texture fill. Next, click on the clipboard option. And there you go, you have the image selected onto this clipboard. So I'm going to delete this image, we don't need this anymore. And what we need to do next is insert a rectangle. So I'm going to go to Shapes and insert a rectangle. Let's change the outline and let me just change this color to white. And I'm going to select this and right click on it and send it backwards. So the next thing that we need to do is select the shape and right click and ungroup this shape altogether. So once we have these individual brush strokes with us once again, I'm going to go to the fill option and select the slide background fill option right here. And by doing that, you already have a beautiful brush stroke effect. The good part about this is you can actually move this around anywhere on the slide and adjust it, unlike the previous one which we created using that Road Rage font. So that's one of the big advantages of this. And the next big advantage of this is we can actually animate these brush strokes, since these are individual graphics that we can select and animate. So what I'm going to do over here is select all of these individual brush strokes that we have created, and once we have each of them selected, I'm going to go to animations, and from here we can choose any animation that we like, but what I would want to go with is a wipe animation, because that kind of recreates the brush stroke kind of an effect. And once we have this, what we're going to do is go to Effect Options and select from left. What we're going to do is open up the animation pane and change the duration a little bit. So I would want to go with about 0.25 seconds. The next thing that we would want to do is go over here and start with after previous. So let's review that very quickly. All right, so here we already are very much through with most of our animation. But what I would recommend is selecting alternate shapes right here and changing this effect in an opposite direction from the one which we had previously selected. So let's just review that once again. Beautiful, beautiful. It looks beautiful, right? So what we can also do is just rotate this a little bit so that we also have like a nice slanting effect. And once we play this, we can actually see the shape that it actually looks more like a brush stroke. And then all we're left with is adding some text and graphic to our slide just to complete this slide. So let's just review this slide very quickly. So once we have it in our full screen, this is how the slide looks.